regained territory that had earlier fallen to militants. The Islamic State has overrun large areas of northern Iraq and declared a cross-border Islamic caliphate, including territory it controls in neighboring Syria. Meanwhile, a French journalist held hostage for months by Islamic extremists in Syria claims one of his captors was a Frenchman suspected of killing 4 people at a Jewish museum in Brussels earlier this year. Nicolas Hénin and 3 other French journalists were held hostage for 10 months by Islamic extremists. They were set free in April. Hénin says he was held for a time with American journalists James Foley and Stephen Sotloff, both of whom were recently executed by Islamic State militants. Police say 29-year-old Mehdi Namouche was one of a group of French nationals who had Islamic State connections. Hénin says Namouche delighted in beating and torturing prisoners and beat him with motorcycle gloves. Namouche will appear in a Belgian court next week. The Belgium museum attack confirmed fears that Europeans who join extremist groups could return to carry out attacks at home. James Aiken, TVB News.
Doctors Without Borders says plans to enforce a lockdown in Sierra Leone to contain the spread of Ebola will not work. Instead, it will increase fear among the population and make the job of health authorities even harder.
The global medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières is sceptical about a 3-day lockdown plan unveiled by the West African nation of Sierra Leone, one of several countries battling an Ebola outbreak. MSF says it will not contain the spread of the virus because a lockdown would force people into hiding and destroy the trust and cooperation between citizens and local authorities. The government will restrict residents to areas around their homes for 3 days beginning on September 19th. Officials defended the decision, saying it will help health workers identify and isolate patients for treatment.
On Frontier, they may be right in what they're saying, but they're only talking about it from the curative point of view, looking after the sick. They are caregivers. What we are more concerned about is the social mobilization. 0.02% of the population, that is about just 1,000 people, have been affected by this. We still have 5,999,000 people who have not been affected. These are the emergency. These are the ones that we must keep safe.
Desperate to restore hope amid the crisis, the World Health Organization says it will accelerate the use of experimental treatments to contain the epidemic.
We agreed that whole blood therapies and convalescent serum may be used to treat Ebola virus disease, and that all efforts must be invested into helping affected countries use them safely. There was a consensus that this has a good chance to work, and that also this is something that can be produced now from the affected countries themselves.
More than 6 months into the crisis, weak healthcare systems are struggling to get a grip on the disease, which has left more than 2,000 people dead. The WHO says it will take $600 million and many more months to bring this outbreak under control.
And here locally, 3D printing is taking the world by storm, sparking innovation in many fields from art to medical to construction. Cheaper, smaller printers are now available to home users to custom design items and products. But as Rani Samtani reports, technology may pave the way for intellectual property theft.
From tools and toys to models and jewelry, 3D printers allow anyone to design and create.
It actually opened the freedom for the designer to come up with their innovative design. Because right now, using this 3D printing technology, designer will be able to visualize and touch or sense his product within a couple of hours.
How does it work? Using a process known as additive manufacturing, the 3D printer will add material layer by layer until the object is formed. Commonly used printing materials include plastic and metals such as stainless steel, titanium, gold, and silver. But in the medical world, doctors are working towards printing living tissue and organs using bioink made up of a patient's cells. And a company in China recently used a mixture of cement and construction waste to build 10 houses in only 24 hours using giant 3D printers. One of the major plus points of 3D printing is speed. You can go from blueprint to physical object within 24 hours. And 3D printing pens allow you to draw and copy designs within minutes. So what would you build if you could create anything? Smaller consumer-friendly printers are now available, bringing this manufacturing method to homes and businesses. In Hong Kong, you can purchase a 3D printer for $5,000 to $20,000, depending on the resolution of the printer. But what will happen to laws and regulations if you have a tool to print anything? Mainstream use of the technology by average home users will make it easier to duplicate products and designs on the cheap.
With the availability of the 3D printers, it only makes the production part of the copying. After I copy your blueprint, so to speak, it just makes possibly the reproduction of these real objects from your original blueprint a bit easier and cheaper. So that is there is a concern there.
Mock said rapid emergence of the technology will foster innovation, but will also create challenges in relation to intellectual property theft. However, he thinks designers and manufacturers will have to adapt to the changes, just like the music industry did during the rise of digital music files. Ronnie Samtani, TVB News.
All right, Tony, some stunning upsets to talk about.
Absolutely. I know you were up all night into the wee hours of the morning watching these epic matches. Let's talk all about it. There'll be a first-time men's Grand Slam champion at the US Open. Japan's Kei Nishikori and Marin Cilic of Croatia pulled off a couple of stunning upsets in the